Yo, what's up? My name is Caleb Pauls, and I'm going with Adventures in Missions to tell stories of South Sudanese refugees living in northern Uganda. Check it! Let's go! Look what we did, Mom.
Oh, stop. Get it.
Going into this project, I did my research. The Washington Post had called this the worst humanitarian crisis of our lifetime. But really, we didn't know what that meant.
South Sudan is on the brink.
One of the most vicious civil wars.
Again,
Casualties in the morning fighting.
our 10 billion death toll continues to rise.
1.5 million people have been forced to flee their country.
Through Adventures in Missions, we were connected to a local Nigerian missionary who had been doing extensive work in South Sudan with a particular orphanage. So when this orphanage had to flee South Sudan and go to Uganda to become refugees, said missionary moved his base of operations to northern Uganda to minister to South Sudanese refugees. This missionary was our guide, was our host, and he had set us up with Dreamland and our living situation. He also set us up with guides. Our guides were Sam, Emmanuel, and Jackson.
One of our guides, Jackson. Say what up.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jackson. They were all our age, and they pretty much introduced us to what life looked like in this crisis.
Today we're going out to try to talk to some people and just figure out what it's like to live as a refugee in this camp in Uganda. Harsh realities, what are the things from their past that they're living with.
Jackson was 24 years old, and he was born in this same refugee camp from the first Sudanese Civil War. When South Sudan became a country and stability was brought, he moved back. But when instability shook the region again, Jackson found himself moving back to the same refugee camp to which he was born. So while these three sat with us, we learned basically the logistical operations for what life as a refugee looked like. Once you cross the border, you're brought to a reception center where they give you your food ration card, they put you through the system, and all of the bureaucracy of a refugee camp takes place there. Once they assign you a plot of land, you go to that plot of land. So with a food ration card, you get full rations for 2 years. After 2 years, your food rations get cut to half. When you get settled, you not only get a plot of land, but you get a tarp and pots and pans. And with your food ration card, you get beans, oil, sorghum.
In South Sudan you make these?
Yes.
Wow.
And after 5 years, you don't get anything anymore because the government would have assumed that you built a sustainable lifestyle by then. The schools were impacted. Well, there was only primary school here. There is no secondary school. So Jackson, Sam, and Emmanuel always wanted to go back to secondary school. Lots of the youth we talked to wanted to go to secondary school, but there was no school in the region. And the primary schools that were there that were run by the UN were severely impacted. We're talking like 200 students a classroom. So if a kid did get through primary education, the odds of him going to secondary school were slim to none. Also, the South Sudanese were farmers by trade, and the soil here in northern Uganda wasn't as fertile as back home. Plus, they didn't get that much land, so it was really hard to provide for themselves in the way that they were used to providing for themselves. The pharmacists, the accountants, the students were kind of all in shock and didn't know what to do next or how to get a job or how to make money. And where we were staying at the Rhino refugee camp, everyone there had been there about a year. They'd got their houses built, people had started making businesses, people had started making things, but everything was kind of flowing. But there was this cloud that kind of sat over the camp of just people being stuck. So we wanted to know what it looked like for a refugee that had just shown up.
I think just getting their initial reactions of what it is to be a refugee, what it feels like to be here, try to capture some of that emotion and try to understand better.
We wanted to run through the process of what does it look like to be a refugee and go through that first process. We wanted to know what life looked like at a refugee camp when you just arrived. Would the people be sad? Would they be excited?
Can I ask you some questions about you in South Sudan?
Yeah, we are Sudanese.
Yeah. Can we film? Can we film you on camera?
Yeah,
I'm Donovan. What's your name?
I'm Ramado.
How would they tackle the challenges?
What hope do you have for your future here?
What I hope?
Yeah, I'm Donovan. Donovan.
Done.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you guys. This is Jesse.
Yes.
Hi,
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
So tell me, why did you come here?
Oh, fine. I'm coming for education, for study.
For studying.
Did they know the reality that was in front of them?